Hello everyone, this is a Tuga's opinion about football, and this is going to be my first video on this channel. I'm going to be talking a little bit about football clubs that currently are making the news for either transfers or something big that they have done. And right now the first club that I'm going to talk about is FC Sheriff Tiraspol, a team that is from Moldova. I'm just very sorry about the background. I do some videos about movie reviews. I can drop a link in the description, but the only issue is that they're in Portuguese. I'm from Portugal, so I think it would be easier to talk a little bit about movies in my native language. But as this is something that's regarding football, this channel, I'm going to talk about football in English. So back to the video. The team that I'm going to talk today is FC Sheriff Tiraspol. The reason that I'm talking about them is because they made history on being the first Moldovan team to participate in the group stage of the Champions League. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the history of the club and what they did to reach this point. FC Sheriff is not a very old club. It was formed in 1997. And then 1 year later, it was bought by a construction worker, security worker, sorry, that is part of an organization which is called Sheriff. So basically, there is a company that only operates in the territory of Transnistria, which is between the Republic of Moldova and Russia. It's basically a very fine strip of land. And the Sheriff company only operates in that strip of land. Basically, it's a monopoly that's happening in the Transnistria. Is one of the biggest companies, and they operate a chain of petrol stations, supermarkets. They even own a TV channel. Of course, they own this club. They own a construction company as well. They own a distillery company. So right now, the revenue for the company is very, very big. Part of that money is then pumped into the club. So basically that club owned by the Sheriff company, right now the money is coming from that. Sheriff Tiraspol was formed in 1997 and reached for the first time the first division in 2000. And in 2001, from 2010, they won the 10 consecutive league titles. Alright, and then in 2011, they lost their first title to another Moldovan team, which is Dacia Chisinau, which is a team that is already extinct. In 2015, they also lost as well the league title against another team, which is Milsami Orhei. It's another team that it currently still exists. It hasn't gone extinct like Dacia. It's still a very strong team that occasionally qualifies to the European football. Right now in Sheriff, they're probably the biggest team in Moldova, and they've qualified almost every year, if not every year since 2002, to the European competitions. From 2002 to 2009, they've been to the Champions League as a result of winning the league, but they've always been bowed out on the second qualification phase every single time. And in 2010 it was different. In 2010 they played against another team from Finland, which is Inter Turku, and they won. And they played then in the third qualification phase against a Czech team, which is Slavia Prague. And they reached the playoff round for the first time in their history. They played against Olympiacos. I'm sorry, I have a paper I'm reading. They played against Olympiacos. They lost 3-0 and 1-0. An aggregate score of 4-0. So they reached, because of that elimination, they reached the Europa League on the next year, and they were drawn into a group with Fenerbahce, Twente, and Steaua Bucharest. They finished with 5 points, and they actually finished above Steaua. They finished in 3rd place. The next year was exactly the same thing. They got into the second qualification phase, they went through, and then on the third qualification phase as well. They played against FC Basel from Switzerland, on the playoff round, and they were knocked out. So they reached the Europa League group stage again this year, and they were drawn into a group with Dynamo Kiev, AZ Alkmaar, and Bate Borisov. They actually finished with 5 points as well. The difference is that it wasn't enough to lift them above 4th place, so they finished last place. Besides those years, probably two of the most successful years of their history. In 2015, if I'm not mistaken, 2015 and 2018 were the last years that they qualified for a group stage, and in 2022, this season is probably being their most successful year. Due to the new changes in the qualification phases of the Europa League and the Champions League as well, Sheriff would be one of the teams that were affected by this, as to reach the group stage they would have to go to an extra qualification phase. So they've been participating since the first phase, the second, the third, and then the playoffs before getting into their group stage. On the first qualification phase, they played against Teuta Durres, which is a team from Albania. They went through very easily. And they won against Alashkert, which is a team from Armenia as well. On the third qualification phase, they were starting to be the unseeded team. They had a relatively big coefficient, but not big enough to get them as seeded to avoid stronger opponents. Nevertheless, they actually were facing against a team from Serbia, which is Red Star of Belgrade, or Crvena Zvezda, and they actually went through. It was very surprising, the win, because a lot of people were expecting Red Star to go through. And then they were drawn against Dinamo Zagreb in the playoff round. On the first leg, they won 3-0 at home, and yesterday they tied 0-0. It was enough to get them into the group stages for the first time in their history. For a team of the size of Sheriff, even though they're owned by a company, it's a team that's very, I don't want to say small, but their financial power compared to other teams is relatively low. Right now, I'm doing the video. The draw is going to be in a few hours. They're seated in the 4th pot. They actually, compared to the other teams, they have the lowest coefficient of every team in the group stage. They are theoretically the weakest team. I don't think they're the weakest, but I think they have a good team to try to pull off a few surprises as well. I don't think that they're going to go through. I think it's going to be very difficult for them. The only thing that I can hope for them, because in a way I'm rooting for them, I think they are a team that deserves to go far, as a team that has a lot of heart in their game. The coach, I know that the coach coached another team before, Zorya Luhansk, and he put the team to play fun football. Zorya Luhansk actually got into the group stage of Europa League a few times. They've actually done relatively well. And Sheriff has everything to at least try to pull off a few points. I don't see them winning a group. It would be amazing, but it's going to be extremely difficult with the way that the pots are arranged. I think that in pot 2, they're definitely not going to avoid, let's say, a European shark. In pot 1, there is a few teams that can actually be accessible to them, and pot 3 more or less as well. But I think in overall, I don't think that Sheriff is going to avoid a difficult group. The only thing that I can avoid is for them to fight a lot, to play fun football, for the kids to have fun, for the coach to have a lot of experience in the Champions League football, and in a way just hope for the best, try to pull off a few surprises, even try to clinch the 3rd place, to at least continue their European adventure. But in a way, I want them to actually go and play very well, because I think that they deserve. And this is a proof that money doesn't buy success in this case. I think that the fact that they don't have a big financial power is very important for this history of like the underdog story. So I think that I want them to go through. I want them to go as far as possible. If you are fans of Sheriff, please let me know in the comments what you think about the team. What are your opinions for the draw? The draw is going to be in a few hours, so I'm definitely going to see that. I'm going to make a video about that in a few days. just to try to give my opinion, who's going to go through, who's going to be knocked out, which teams can pull off surprises, which teams can disappoint. And just let me know in the comments. Please leave a like if you like this video, and subscribe if you want to see more videos about this. Okay? Thank you very much. See you in the next time.